That's on. Remember beep. Okay, that's quite happy. This is going. Right, welcome. Welcome, my name is Roger. I'd like to talk to you about how to make your organisation less hackable. This is another 1 hour webinar. It actually won't go for 1 hour, but what we're going to do is just go through the principles of how to make yourself a lot more secure, and we can then go back and have a look at questions and answers and all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring up my my snazzy little slide share and share it with everybody. Is that to everybody? Okay, so this webinar is how to make your organisation less hackable or less of a target for cyber criminals. It should be about somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes, and then we have 10 minutes or 20 minutes for questions if we need them. It's available on both Google Plus as a Hangout. It's also on Periscope if you're watching from Periscope, and it's quite happily as a webinar itself. Well, a little bit about myself. My name is Roger Smith. I am an author. I have 2 books on digital crime. I speak regularly in both webinars and seminars and as a keynote speaker. I train people to recognise the problems with the digital world and what needs to be done. I write a lot of articles, both in normal media and on the internet, and I study digital crime. I study digital crime because that's what I like to focus on. And it means also that we are I can get a better understanding so I can help my clients to a better outcome when they're talking about digital crime and digital security. Just as a freebie to start off with, I have my first book is available as a free download. It's a true proper book that's been PDF'd. It's available on those 2 links or via the QR code. And it was written about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's now what I've based most of my systems on. The second book, which I will talk about later on, is also an in-depth look at how do you protect yourself from cybercrime. So, last year we had a major problem with digital crime. There probably wasn't a nation on earth that didn't get attacked, and there wasn't a organisation that isn't constantly under attack. But some of the bigger ones, like 70 million people got exposed in the target attack, JP Morgan, Home Depot, Ashley Madison. And these are all large companies, large organisations with a large number of people. So let's talk about crime itself. Crime itself has been around since Adam and Eve. And we now get to the stage of thinking that the normal criminals are relatively clever. We all started off with you wanted something or I wanted something of someone else, so I literally took it. And it wasn't until the advent of banks, stagecoaches, railways, that we then had a system where a group of people could rob a bank and steal from a larger group of people. And this is where Billy the Kid and Ned Kelly, Ronald Biggs come into the picture. In 1995, Mexican drug lords got pretty sick of being caught by law enforcement all the time. And what they did was they got really clever with using technology. And using technology to their own advantage, they created a secure mobile telephone network. It had towers in every state of Mexico. They had their own SIM cards. They had their own phone systems. They literally had encrypted communications across the board. And it took law enforcement 5 years to break it. And that's how the drug lords got their foothold in America. But nowadays, they actually use hacking and digital crime to hack the border drones. And again, this is something that we'll talk about later on. Who remembers the Mumbai terrorist attack, 2008? And if you're like me, you're probably wondering why it took so long to bring the terrorists down. And after they'd got ashore, they'd got to the hotel that killed everybody and everything else, that had the big shootout, and they'd burned half the hotel down. It was only then in the wash-up that we actually had a realization of what the terrorists have been doing. Because along with all the normal paraphernalia, bombs and rockets and guns and walkie-talkies, they had a new technology slant to what they did. They had mobile phones, and those mobile phones they used for communication between themselves. They also had night vision goggles and GPS, so they knew exactly where people were, they knew exactly where they were, and they could actually then circumvent what the new organisation, the law enforcement were doing to restrict their access to places. But one of the things that came out of the wash-up was they had a operations centre. And if we all know from the SEALs, an operations centre turns a 10-man SEAL unit into an army of about 100, because they can be anywhere, they can do anything. And this is what they learnt, the terrorists learnt, when it came to how to get around. They were feeding information through the operations centre back to the terrorists on law enforcement, who people were so they could kill them, and whether they had whether they were in trouble or they were focusing on the wrong area. So how clever, if that's how clever the normal criminal is, how clever do you think the cyber criminal is? Well, the cyber criminal are not so much clever, but they've learned how to use technology in the digital world to their own advantage. In 2008, some clever Ukrainian criminals decided they were going to come up, and they created the FBI virus. And the FBI virus was a system where it was literally trying to make itself look like an antivirus. And that antivirus was installed on a couple of million places. And that's why it was so profitable for them. But these clever Ukrainian criminals decided to go that one step further. They actually built an organization that was legal. They paid taxes on 500 million euros for the year. They had a sales arm, they had a marketing arm, they had an accounts keeping arm, they had a help desk where if you got the FBI virus and you wanted to go ahead and pay for it, then they made sure that the information came through without a problem. And again, law enforcement of both FBI and the local law enforcement shut this place down. And when they did, they found that out of 110 people, only 10 were involved in the criminal enterprise. Everybody else thought they were actually legitimate. Again, this is how clever the criminals can be when it comes to crime itself, and how clever they can be when it comes to digital crime as well. In 2008, we had Android being released by Google. And then we had the Android store, where everybody could create an application to do whatever they wanted. And in the application, in the Android store, all of these apps started turning up for all the banks. So everybody thought, well, the banks are getting on board and we're quite happy and we'll go and download it because my bank is saying that that's a really good idea. The trouble is that people downloaded them, put them on their Android devices, filled in all the critical details and found out they didn't work. Didn't know whether it was a problem with the system itself or the fact that it was not released by the bank itself. So when people got on the telephone to ring up the bank and say, I'm trying to use your app on my Android, it doesn't work, and their classic response was, we haven't got an app on Android. So you've just put all of that information in, criminals have stolen it. Diverse IT 2010 was a rather large hosting company in Sydney. And they went from $10 million in the red, in the black to $2 million in the red in the space of 2 days. And in that time, they lost control of everything that they had. So they lost control of not only their bank and their bank accounts, but they lost actually access to their websites. Their hosting literally became a huge problem across the board. And RSA in 2011 was another one. RSA is literally one of the backbones of the internet, because RSA actually deliver the device for securing communications, as in the encryption keys that makes everything encrypted between sites and whoever's accessing them. RSA got hacked through a spear phishing attack, and it wasn't the fact that they almost lost everything. It was the fact that there was one person who thought about how this could happen and actually put some alerts in place so people could see what was happening. And there are now technologies available that we can do that for a large number of things. But one of the biggest problems was the target hack in 2013. November 2013 was when it came to light, but it had been in the system for about 3 months. And the 2013 target hack was so large that 1 in 3 Americans who used a credit card at Target had information stolen. That's phenomenal. So over 80 million people had information stolen because Target didn't do the right thing, but they were targeted by a criminal gang that actually knew more than what was going on. And this is an underlying problem across the board, is that there's always someone out there who knows more about what you do than you do. But more recently, we've had Sony Pictures, which was the second hack of Sony. The first one was their PlayStation Network, but Sony Pictures got hacked in 2014, and it was supposedly contributed to by the North Koreans. That's what they put out in the real news. Most of the underlying IT security people didn't think it was them, they thought it was just someone else. We had Hacking Team in 2015, and Hacking Team is a unique problem anyway, because Hacking Team actually, part of their role is to go out and find exploits or holes in code and find out how they can use them to their own advantage. They have a product that they actually sold to law enforcement. They sold it to a large number of organizations, some savory, some not so savory. And then we have Ashley Madison. And Ashley Madison, when the database was revealed on the dark web, had 5 million people using it, and 200,000 of them had the same password. And that password was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm going to have a marital affair, and my account for digital access is going to have a password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That really does make me an idiot. And anybody who was caught in that hack, you deserve all that you've got. So, what other problems have we got? One of the biggest problems, and I will touch on this in another webinar, is Internet of Things. Now, the Internet of Things came about, and some of the problems have come across because we have a lack of IP addresses. We used to have IP version 4. IP version 4 was 32 bits. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 32 times. Came to a number of about 4.3 billion addresses that we could use on the internet. IP version 6 takes it to the next level. IP version 6 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 128 times. And the number is huge. It is 340 unidecillions. So this number. But the Internet of Things is creating its own problems because we have a small footprint on an Internet of Things device, that has coding embedded in the system. But it doesn't stop the criminals from hacking them. And this is why we have refrigerators that send out 16,000 spam emails. Or your TV taking a photo of you. Or your AC becoming a listening device, as what happened to a defense contractor in Dallas. All of these things happen because security is not the thing that people think about. So who are they? Who are these criminals that we are being targeted by all the time? Excuse me. Well, they've got a hierarchy. And it's a noticeable hierarchy because there are different areas and different levels of expertise. We have the script kiddies. And the script kiddies are the 12 to 15 to 25-year-olds who are wannabes. They want to be a hacker. So they've got access to a computer, they've installed software, they're using Nmap, or they're using Kali or anything along those lines. And they are doing little things. A good script kiddie can make somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 a month if they're doing it properly and if they're using the right systems. And that is a problem for everybody, because that is not what is calculated in their overall volume of people getting hacked. But the script kiddies are also plugged in to the major players, and they use the script kiddies as pawns, fodder. They're the people who get caught because they don't understand what needs to be done. The next level is the hacktivist. And the hacktivist is really, really part of the situation because they are doing things that they never thought that they needed to do. The hacktivists are the people like the Arab Spring or parts of Anonymous are hacktivists. They are out there for an agenda that they quite happily publicise. And they use the internet and the real internet to get sponsors for that attack that they're going to do. Both the script kiddies and the hacktivists use automated systems. You then have the last one, which is the hacker. And the black hat hacker is the person who thinks in ones and zeros. They can steal your life, they can steal your money, they can steal everything. They can destroy your reputation, they can make your business fail totally. And these are the 1% of what the digital crime area is all about, because these people are the ones who don't understand what they need to do and how they need to be protected against. So who do they target? Who do they know to target? Well, you've got to remember that the digital criminal is clever, they're persistent, and they're patient. They're patient to a level where the target hack, they were inside the network for somewhere between 90 and 180 days before anybody knew about it. And that's because of some of the architecture that we put in place for a digital environment. The architecture doesn't worry about communications left to right, or as they call it in the business, east to west. What we're worried about is getting information in and out of the network, which is north to south. And this is where firewalls come in, intrusion detection, and all of these sort of components, because we're not looking at information going from computer to computer to computer. The trouble is with the digital criminal is they understand the world that they live in. They are very good at finding holes in systems, of finding exploits in software, finding exploits in hardware. And they understand what they want to do and how they want to do it. And what our IT people have to remember is there is always someone else who knows more about a situation than you do. And being in the digital world, they can be 10,000 miles away. They don't have to be right next to you. And this is one of the problems that comes about because of the digital world, because of that situation. And the criminals will actually go and buy something that they know business is going to use. They will go and use cloud technology, and they will buy for cycles on a supercomputer if they need to. They will use stolen credit cards, they will use Bitcoin, but that is what they do. So what are they after? If there wasn't something there for them to be after, we wouldn't have a problem. So what are they after? What do you think they're after? Well, I can tell you straight out, there are four things that they're really after. One is your money and your access to money. Who hasn't sat in a cafe and paid a bill? Or who hasn't sat in a cafe and used Skype? Or who hasn't sat in a cafe and bought something on eBay? They have access to your money. They have access to your money and why they need to do it. But you also have intellectual property. Now, there's two types of intellectual property. There's personal intellectual property, which is personal information, and then there's trade secrets. And a trade secret can be the way you do business, the way you tender, your tender pricing. So these trade secrets are monetary value to someone, whether it's your competition or they can put it on the internet and just embarrass the crap out of you. But they are very important to both you and your organization. But they're also after your clients. Client information is a gold mine if they get in. And I'm talking about gold mine to a level where we cannot see or perceive how much money they can make out of certain things. But the last thing that they're really interested in, because they can do so much more with it, is your technology. They want your tablets, your phones, your servers, your routers, your Wi-Fi, your databases, your cloud technology, because to them, your technology is money. And the true value of a hacked PC or a Mac or a game console or a smart device or a server is quite phenomenal. Because if they can hack your device, then they have access to account credentials. So your eBay and your PayPal, and they can run fake auctions under your name. Or they can use your online gaming credentials to go on Steam and buy stuff through there. Or they can use your FTP credentials to get at your website. So these account credentials are really important to them. They can use your financial credentials, transfer money into your bank accounts, spend your money on your credit card, transfer money because they have access to your bank account to be able to do it. They can ruin your reputation. I just had a friend who got hacked on Facebook. It took him 2 months to clean up the mess. But in that time, and we're a pretty close-knit group in Facebook, by the time he realised what was going on, he'd actually done something about it. He was back online a couple of days ago. But they can ruin your reputation. They can make it so that you are the person sending out that spam email. And that's the other thing they can use it. They can use it for email attacks. So they can harvest your email addresses out of your system. They can have access to corporate mail. So they've actually access to a corporate mail environment. Or they can run scams, stranded abroad scam, for instance. And then we have hostages, ransomware, webcam hijacking. Did you know there's a database that's searchable for webcams that are unsecure on the dark web? That really is frightening. But they also use them for botnet activities. So turning it into a zombie, yes, you can still use it. You can still write your emails and send them out as yourself, but I wouldn't advise it. But they can then become part of the botnet environment. And by becoming part of the botnet environment, they are then attacking others as well. And this is how this digital criminal works. They hide behind people they've already hacked. Because going back to the email attacks, for instance, if they send out an email from you that goes out to 2 or 3 million people, they're guaranteed to get a 1% return. And that is quite phenomenal. And they have a shopping list. Everything has a monetary value. So access to your bank accounts, anywhere between $90 and $150. If it's a proven bank account, then no worries at all. E-wallet account, e-wallet transfers, credit cards. And the credit cards, again, if they got credit card, name, date, and 3-digit code, then they will make more than $10 each. So, as I said, cyber criminals have a shopping list. They are looking for places to exploit. They are looking for people who they can steal money from. And everything has a monetary value, and that is what they're after. So how do we stop these bastards? How do we stop them from compromising your system? How do we stop them from sending you broke? Well, there are some basics. And the basics can actually give you a rather large defense number against it. And those basics really are looking at how you can get to the next level. And the basics are literally patch everything. Patch everything in a timely manner. Doesn't mean that when a patch comes out, you have to apply it. What it does mean is that when a patch does come out for no matter what operating system or Java or Flash or whatever, that you apply it in a timely manner. And timely manner can be anywhere between yesterday and 3 or 4 weeks away. But it needs to be applied in that period. And most of the systems now make it really easy. Microsoft does it by saying you can apply updates and restart. So you do that before you go to bed or when you leave the office. So the next time you see updates is the next time they've been released by Microsoft or Apple or whatever. Then we have passwords, and passwords are the bane of our existence at the moment, because passwords have to be unique, more than 8 characters, and complex, because that is the only way to have a system that is going to protect you. Now, the reason why it needs to be unique is because of those script kiddies and their automated systems. And I can tell you about how that works. Let's have 3 websites. This is your PayPal account. Username, password. Username is email address, password is, let's say, password. We then have your news, ABC News logon, email address, password. And then we have some nondescript little website in the middle of nowhere who doesn't really give a damn about his security. So this website gets hacked. They steal their database of usernames and passwords. Those usernames and passwords go back into the automated systems. And those systems then try PayPal with that combination. If it comes up and goes, yes, accepted, tick, goes back to the big guys. Same with news, because they can then get on there and change your reputation. So passwords are really, really important, and they have an impact on what you're doing. We need a good antivirus, and we need a good antivirus that goes across all platforms. Not just Microsoft and Apple, but everything. Linux, Android, the 84 other phone applications that make phones work, all of these things need to have a component of antivirus. We need to back it up. And although people think that's not part of the basics, yes it is. Because you never know when your phone is going to be dropped in the toilet or someone's going to steal your laptop. And either those cases happen, have you got a backup of all that critical information on there? Have you got a backup of your grandchildren playing in the sandpit? Because it'll never happen again, and you need to find a way of keeping those memories in perspective. And then we need a firewall. Firewalls are notoriously unpredictable, and most people, not so much on a router, but on a PC, on a laptop, on an iPhone, will turn off their firewalls. For God's sake, don't. If you have to bypass a firewall, then you have to bypass the firewall. So you need to make sure that you're protecting yourself all the time. And there's three others. You need to be paranoid. And I haven't put the third one on there. But you need to be paranoid. You need to be paranoid to a level where you are thinking that you need to protect yourself. You are thinking that everybody is after you. Because if you don't think like that, then someone will hack you. You have to use common sense. Why am I using common sense? Well, common sense is really important because it's not allowing you to accept what is there. Notorious ones are when you do a search and you're looking for a driver for a printer, for instance. And the top three drivers will have nothing to do with the maker of the printer. It will be drivers.com or driverdownload.com or searchdownload.com. And they will inject spyware into those drivers. So if you have to go to a driver site, you go to a driver site for the company who made it, not the first one at the top of the list, because once again, the bad guys out there are doing exactly the same thing that we're trying to do as well. The last one, which is not on here, is trust no one. In the digital world, it's easy for someone else to get hacked who is your friend, who is your mate. And if they do get hacked, then an email from them is going to be guaranteed to get through your defenses. So trust no one. And trusting no one also applies to the organizational environment. If you've got people who are working externally, then make sure that you are not trusting them. You are not putting them in a trusting way. If you've got a Wi-Fi, then you don't trust people who are connecting it to it unless the only thing that they can do is get on the internet after they've put in a passcode to do it. So you're not trusting anybody to do the right thing. You are making sure that if they do the wrong thing, it's not going to impact you. And that's what it's all about, is protecting you to that level. But there are other things that we need to do. There are 4 real areas of how you protect your organization and how you protect yourself. So these are based on how I perceive protection is all about. And these are fields that we need to look at and have specific requirements around each field. We have the technology field, which is literally everything that is technologically based. So your hardware and your software, your operating systems, your applications, your VPN, your antivirus, your wireless, your best practices. All of these things are technologically related. And they need to be thought of as a component of your business. And if you rely on them, and the more you rely on them, the more important they are to make sure they are not targeted by hackers. From the technology area, we go to the management area. And although we've put all this technology in place, we've got new this and new that, we need to have people processes. So we need policies, we need procedures, we need processes to make sure that it's going to work for us. We need an auditing and reporting component so we can see what's going on. We need a training component. So we're training our people and educating them to a level where they are going to protect your organization the best way they can. But management is also about physical security. And physical security is just as important because, yes, you might have the best security in the world, but if someone can walk in and put a 3G modem into your switch, then you just compromised your whole system. Because once again, we are looking at east-west, not north-south. We have then the third component, which is adaptability. I've already spoken about backing up everything that needs to be backed up. But adaptability looks at your risk assessment and your risk management. And from those two components, we become interested in plans that do business continuity and disaster recovery and culture. Your culture, going back to talking about people seeing and trusting no one. If they don't trust anybody, then I can guarantee your business is going to be a lot more secure because they will flag things. I have a client in Sydney, just had a CEO replaced and half the staff was replaced. About 3 days after the new CEO came in, one of the girls got an email from the CEO. And he said, I'd like you to download all of the associations and clients out of our database, put it into an Excel spreadsheet and send it to me. And this is one of the girls looked at it and went, yeah, that's a bit unusual. And literally because the CEO is in the office just around the corner, she went and banged on his door and said, you sure you want this? She didn't trust the email, didn't trust him. But that culture is what saved the company. Because if she'd done that and sent it to the email address, even though it said CEO of, if she sent it to wherever it was supposed to come from, then she would have lost everything. And that is not a place to be if you're in business. And then on top of that, we've got compliance. Compliance, ATO requirements, e-commerce, so PCI and DSS, your banking requirements, your trust requirements, and your duty of care to your people. These are all part of your compliance. And they are what protect you as an organisation going forward. You see, the problem with digital crime is we have to stop them. We have to stop them as well as we can. And yes, sometimes this can cost a lot of money, but it is part of our duty of care, I suppose, to our clients that we do stop them because we have information about our clients. We get hacked, all that information ends up on the internet. Who's going to look like the idiot? And that's one of the reasons why we have to win all the time, but they only have to win once. So all of those components have to be thought of and protected against. And this is why you need new eyes on the systems. You need to be able to go to someone and say, I want you to do a test. And there are a difference between doing a penetration test and doing a red team test. And it's got nothing to do with money, I can tell you now. Yes, one is more expensive, but a red team test will do everything that they possibly can to get into your system. And that includes exposing you to social engineering, ringing you up and saying, I'm the IT person from X, and we've been told that you have a problem. Can I just confirm who you are? What is your answer to the first security question? Answer to the second one, what's your date of birth? Bang, gotcha. And they have then access because they have the information that they need. So, how do we make ourselves less hackable? And what we are doing is trying to increase our defense posture more than anything else. So by educating people, we're trying to make sure that they do not get hacked or they're not targeted as a hack. And this is very important. But you have to get the basics in place. Those basics are critical to making sure that you are protecting yourself to the level that you need to. You need to use a complete mixture of technology, management, adaptability, compliance, and the basics before you will have anything like a secure environment. Because if you don't do that, then if you're missing one of those components, then there's a good chance that that is how they will get in. Even though we've done everything that is humanly possible to protect ourselves, they can still get in. There's no such thing as being too secure or 100% secure, because there isn't. And there's nothing we can do about it except be reactive and make sure that we do everything that we humanly possibly can. And as I said, trust no one. Because if you trust people, then you are in a position where something may get in because of that trust. And that's, again, how the bad guys work. They work on increasing your trust. Now, I have a program called Buy Me Coffee. Let's talk. Let's put different eyes on your systems. Let's put different eyes on your security to a level where we can sit back and go, well, yes, you've got XXXX, but you need to put these in place as well. Now, normally it charges $499. If you put in this discount code, it'll knock $100 off. Well worth the effort. So fill in the form, go to that email address, that web URL. Anybody can get access to my book, which is, again, this is my second book. If you want to contact us or get in contact with my organisation, then support at, or you can go to my own website and fill in the form, or I'm available on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, G+, and LinkedIn. And we also do these webinars, somewhere between 2 and 4 per month. The webinars are also broadcast on Google Hangouts, and they're also broadcast on Periscope. So if you want access to them without signing up, then go ahead and do it. We're not particularly interested in selling you anything anyway. What we are interested in is getting you to the next level of business protection. And if that's what we can do, that's what we do. So thank you very much. Are there any questions? Because if there's no questions, then we'll quite happily move off and say thank you. Okay, no questions. Thank you very much, much appreciated. I will see you next time.